Not remember, but to honor one of Woodstock's own, Richard Quinn. And it has been an honor working on this, getting this organized with Fern and Terry, the town of Woodstock. A lot of people have chipped in today. But this today isn't just about the past. It's about the future as well. A future where Richard Quinn's name, his life, and his service are known to all who pass this way. It's a story our guests will tell better than I, so let's begin. First, the official part of the ceremony. I'm going to ask Supervisor Bill McKenna to come up and read the proclamation from the town of Woodstock.
All right, Bill.
Resolution 96-2018, offered by Councilman Richard Hepner, seconded by Councilwoman Rickey. Whereas Richard Floyd Quinn was raised in Woodstock, New York, and graduated from Monteora High School and Ulster County Community College with honors, and whereas Richard was in the process of transferring to a four-year college when he was drafted on July 24th, 1969, and whereas Richard, desiring to do everything he could do to save lives instead of taking them, began training as a medic following completion of basic training, and whereas Richard was deployed to Vietnam on January 12, 1970, and was assigned as a medic to Delta Company, 1st Battalion, 8th Cavalry, 1st Cavalry Division, and whereas during a firefight on July 12, 1970 in Pak Long Province, Vietnam, Richard was motioned forward to help save another medic, Thomas Kloss, who had been hit by enemy fire. And whereas, according to Sergeant Ed Norret, who was present during the firefight, Richard moved forward armed with only his aid bag, beating down the fear for his own life and fearing what condition he might find the wounded in. And whereas, upon reaching Kloss, Richard placed himself between the gunfire and his fellow medic, he too came under fire. Both were killed. Richard's body was later found draped over Kloss's. And whereas, for his heroic actions that day, Richard was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the nation's second highest award, and whereas Richard was also awarded the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, the Combat Medal, Medical Badge, the Air Medal, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and Vietnam Service Medal. And whereas Richard was buried in the Woodstock Cemetery on July 25th, 1970, just 2 days after his 22nd birthday, and honored on both the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., and the Woodstock Veterans Memorial. And whereas Richard, the only son of Woodstock who gave his life during the Vietnam War, therefore be it resolved that on Memorial Day, May 28, 2018, under the authority vested in the Woodstock Town Board by New York's Consolidated Laws, Town Law Section 64, the town of Woodstock shall honor Richard's memory and his sacrifice by officially renaming what is currently Hillcrest Avenue to be forever known as Sergeant Richard Quinn Drive. And be it further resolved, the Woodstock Town Board present a copy of this resolution to the family of Richard Floyd Quinn. The vote was announced 5-0. Thank you.
Proud and I'm very honored on behalf of Ulster County Legislature to present a Pride of Ulster County, an award presented by the legislature to the family of Sergeant Richard Floyd Quinn in honor of Sergeant Richard Quinn's legacy of profound service and sacrifice made with courage and distinction to preserve our freedoms, and in recognition of renaming Hillcrest Avenue to forever be known as Sergeant Richard Quinn Drive in the town of Woodstock.
The assembly member couldn't be here today, but he has been trying to honor area fallen heroes in our district during the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. And President Obama had made a proclamation for the entire span of that war, the 50th anniversary. And since President Obama is much more eloquent than I am, I thought I would read a little bit of that proclamation. So here we go. Presidential Proclamation, commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. As we observe the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, we reflect with solemn reverence upon the valor of a generation that served with honor. We pay tribute to the more than 3 million servicemen and women who left their families to serve bravely, a world away from everything they knew and everyone they loved. As a grateful nation, we honor more than 58,000 patriots, their names etched in black granite, who sacrificed all they had as they would ever know. In the reflection of the wall, we see the military family members and veterans who carry a pain that may never fade. May they find peace in knowing their loved ones endure, not only in medals and memories, but in the hearts of all Americans who are forever grateful for their service, valor, and sacrifice. I want to thank the organizers for putting together this wonderful event and everyone for their attendance to honor Sergeant Quinn. Thank you.
I gotta say this, I thank you all for coming. Thank you. Most important to me and to a lot of other gentlemen that are in other parts of this country that could not be here. I found it very interesting to think about this. In the past, we were a combination of people from California, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, New York, Alabama, Florida, and we all come together, and Quinn was a part of this on it. Now I'm going to try and take you through a little bit of what Quinn went through over there. Some will hear it twice. I don't mean to do that, but I'm going to kind of ad lib. I kind of found out here the other day when I got out here, since I'm from Michigan, that Quinn was quite a writer, and he had quite a satire on some of the notes he sent back to some of the people here in New York. I found it quite humorous, but I also found strength in his notes as to what he was saying to the people back here. It was not nice out there in the jungle, but he tolerated it, and he tolerated all of us and all our different characters and all our, as Fern calls it, we're sometimes Midwesterners or Easterners or Southerners, or you do this and you do that, or what else. Anyway, I'll go to reading this, what I got, and hope it makes it through. This here is to Sergeant Richard Quinn, Memorial Day of 2018, and even more so since you folks dedicated this to Quinn. And Quinn was just a much part of us. I am Sergeant Donald Ketchum of Company D, 1st Battalion, 8th Cav, 1st Aero Cavalry. And I want to thank you and thank Fern for her great tenacity in pulling this together. If she had not contacted me 2 years? About 2 years ago, I had tried to assemble this in my head a couple of years ago and couldn't do it. It was kind of a little pain and agony on the last one that I had went through with Quinn. It was awful difficult and hard watching it and what you encounter out there, and to watch a bunch of people die in front of you. And he was one of them. Another one was Klaus, but I'll get to that anyway. This is to this memorial an event of the street sign dedication in the name of Sergeant Richard Quinn, a vital medic to the company of Company D, 1st Battalion, 8th Cav, when we were out there. Also, to all the Woodstock people, especially you people, for coming and dedicating this sign to Richard. He earned it. And all the officials, local, county, political officials, providing the necessary process to have this event. The company appreciates that. And there's another guy that Fern knows, and we have a guy in Oklahoma, and he knows very much about this and what's going on. And I'm trying to work with a photographer over here, and I've got to get some pictures of this, what he's getting, okay? Also, would like to express my appreciation to Terry Breitenstein here. This man has been a critical part of what we've been doing here, of the American Legion here in Woodstock, and working with Fern. I would like to express my appreciation in that of Company D, 1st Battalion, 8th Cav, 1st Air Cavalry, and the Point Platoon, which is what I was leading, for your dedication to this Memorial Day, and I thank you all. A bit of flavor for what Richard was going through and his experience on 12 July of 1970. And he was not my medic, but he was a medic that I called for and I was hollering for because I had all my equipment and my radio shot out. Sight. Heavy triple canopy. We were in layers like this, and you had coverage. Canopy trees with a small open area that we moved into. Below the area filled with smoke from machine gun fire, smoke grenades, colors, yellow, purple, green. And sure enough, the enemy had those colors. When we had the helicopters coming in, the little guys with the little, you don't know the names, but they come in with a machine gun overhead and they're just in the top of the trees up there and they fire through. Anyway, they were looking at us, and you don't holler the smoke color out. You just holler smoke is out, and then you wait for the color identification back. Well, they had the first three until I threw a red one. And to mark the company position, 2 overhead aircraft. Now, Richard was getting ready to come out. He was seeing the wafting of the trees from the low-flying helicopters immediately overhead and a large group of GIs laying down below. More visibly anxious in the midst of a firefight. A lot of noise. Hearing tremendous noise from the NVA element. The guy ahead of us, and I thought he was my front element, he ended up being the edge element, and Richard come off to my right, and he was in front of the main element up there. You had that noise from the NVA element immediately in front of us with their machine gun with continual firing. He just held down the trigger. Hollering and yelling at the top of one's lungs to call out for a medic. That was me. I was doing that calling because I had no radio anymore. Okay? And then you go into, for the initial injuries, I had no idea of how many injuries I had. I found out later my radio guy took a bullet through his clavicle and went out and passed through his stomach down there. I had no idea that until she's finding that out. Okay, now we're coming up, and on the start of the firefight, the listening to the rotor wash from the helicopters hanging just above the trees. The company forward artillery officer walking in the 105 millimeter howitzer rounds and coming in nearer and nearer to our position that we were located at. The hiss of the smoke grenades spitting their colors out and hearing the machine gun rounds pass overhead your ear and hear many hit trees and back, and as they pass through one's gear or radio sets or spitting the dirt up as the rounds hit the ground with great velocity ahead of you. Then you have taste. The smoke was so thick. In the small area we were in beneath the triple canopy, one could easily taste the sulfur from the smoke as they spit it out and clouded the entire area. But that still didn't stop the machine gunner up there. The smoke from the machine gunner coming out, you could see it coming out from behind the trees ahead of me. Still couldn't see anybody. And the rounds immediately ahead continually fired up there. Now you have smell. The smell of the sulfur from the smoke grenades. The colors, the cordite from the exploding artillery rounds as it wafted through our little area down there. It's enough to grip you. The only way he was going to hit anybody, you had to take us out too, if he brought him in that far. Then you had the jungle was alive with extraneous smells all of a sudden because you are full of rage, you are full of adrenaline. This man, as I watched him, you want to see a focused person, and he's full of adrenaline, and he's wired and very acute because you become that way during these situations. Touch. One's human body was alive with rage and adrenaline. The entire nervous system became acutely sensitive to one's surrounding rifles, machine guns. One could actually feel the vibration from each round fired. Smoke grenades, the feel on nylon hitting and dropping off on the backpacks. Then you had the machine gun rounds pass through one's backpack, and the ground vibrated on each round as it hit on or near you. Toward the end, as the adrenaline kicked in and the medic was called, not on the radio set, it was full of bullet holes, and all done by yelling. And I know somebody heard me because I have another sergeant that was in back of me that took control, and that's how this young man got out there. All done by yelling. Richard Quinn had the guts, and you should be proud of a man that has the nerve to do that, because some don't have that ability to do that in moments of need, which is what we needed right at that time. He had the guts to crawl forward from his position to the area under fire to work on fellow GIs, or in this case, another medic I was calling for up there. The prime aim being Doc Kloss, who was in my squad and to my right rear. He took a direct hit. I did not know if he was dead. It took incredible nerve to do what he did, and he was acting on it. You just never know until you get put into that position what's going to happen. As I watched him come out of the wood line, I could see the incredible focus and sustained watch for any movement ahead of him. The NVA were well hidden in the brush ahead. The company was not in a good position that day. This day, a dedication, is also a dedication in the name of some of those he came to assist, names I learned of later on, and which he would have found out should he not have been hit. Some unbeknownst to me at the time: Thomas Kloss, I didn't know how bad he was; Terry Lawrence, my radio guy; Steve Von Gannon, my machine gunner; Craig Sherwood, my grenadier; Jim Ostradowski, my backup, way in the back; Walter Cizik, he was my point man; and even my ex-MVA lead point up there, he was in the mix of it. And then I learned later on through Fern here about Thomas Hunt. And then another medic who I learned about this year. Now this is 40 years later for me, and I'm just learning that. As a cavalry company and platoon member, thank you all for coming to this. It is not just I, it is a guy named Eddie Nord that is in California, and it is a young man, Gordon Swenson, who assembles our website out there. They are following you people, and I appreciate that, and they do also, so thank you. And toward the end here, thank you all for this day of dedication to Sergeant Richard Quinn, a man I call now, after watching it, like nerves of steel, to come out and do that for us.
On behalf of the Quinn family, I'd like to welcome everyone here today. It's great I see all those old friends out here, people I haven't seen in a while. Thank you for coming out. Thank you. Richard grew up here in Woodstock. Spent his whole childhood, of course. He was in a Memorial Day parade when he was young. He probably marched right by here as a member of the Yankees Little League team. Anybody out there from the old Yankees? But his life wasn't always that smooth, even as a youngster. As a youngster, he developed cancer on his upper right leg, which almost necessitated the removal of that leg. But Richard prevailed through surgery and medicine to persevere, to go on living life, albeit with a large scar on his leg. He had a slight limp when he was young from this operation.
Richard Floyd Quinn had hazel green eyes. In high school, as George said, he slicked his dark hair back with Brill cream, but later grew it long, much to his father's displeasure. I can still hear the way he spoke. Sometimes he had the softest voice. I think it would be fair to say that he had a really mischievous nature. His sister Susan, 9 years his junior, told me the most wonderful anecdote. That Richard would occasionally, when she was a child, read her passages from the Bible at night when she was in bed. And then he would suddenly start making it all up. He was no saint, but neither were we. Richard was in love. He had Nanon's name written all over his medical notebooks. With my sister Cheyenne, my friend Jency, and so many friends' encouragement, Sergeant Ketchum, I was able last year to assemble a memorial album of over 300 pages on Richard's life. But along the way, I realized just how many people had never made peace with Richard's death, all hurting for different reasons. Because they hadn't been able to help him avoid the draft, because they had survived Vietnam and he hadn't, because they hadn't stayed in touch with him when he was in Vietnam, because they hadn't kept his letters, because they couldn't make it to his funeral, because they never had the chance to say goodbye. It was all very painful to hear. The first time I met up with Richard's younger brother, George, he told me that Richard's last words to him before leaving for Vietnam were, "If I don't come back, keep my name alive." Something more than this album on Richard's life had to be done. It occurred to me that maybe naming a street in town after him might be the answer. If it weren't for Terry Breitenstein and Richard Hefner, our town historian, support, we wouldn't be standing here today. Richard was one of us, the only Woodstocker to die in Vietnam. And here we are today, nearly 50 years after his death. On July 23rd, Richard would have turned 70. If he was physically here and could see the new street sign and all his old friends, I am sure he would say, "Hey, this is really cool." And we would all be so glad to see him again. The town's resolution states that this street will now be forever known as Sergeant Richard Quinn Drive. I do believe that Richard would be grateful that collectively so many of his friends have assisted George in doing what Richard asked of him, keeping his name alive. None of us ever forgot you, Richard. We never will.
Day is done, gone the sun, from the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest. God is nigh, fading light dims the sight, and a star gems the sky, gleaming bright. From afar drawing nigh, falls the night. Thanks and praise for our days, 'neath the sun, 'neath the stars, 'neath the sky, as we go, this we know. God is nigh.
Yeah.
And
Don't you be touching that thing.
Oh my God almighty.
I've written to Nana because she doesn't have a computer, but I don't think she'll show up. She's not in good health.
Well, George is gonna be here.
Yes, George will be here, and his sister Susan.
Susan's
and-
gonna
and
make it, right?
His daughter Bernadette, yes, yep, Susan's coming up from the
Oh, all
city.
right.
It's only Evie who was not able to make it because her mother is
This is the gal
not in good
that
shape.
got the last letter, right? From
Yes,
Quinn.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was her.
That is just breathtaking, man. This woman is
Amazing.
unbelievable.
She's fantastic. She really is.
Oh, you talking Brenda?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can I?
What
bring
a
her-
talent.
Jay, can I bring her photo to the thing tomorrow?
What photo?
Yeah, the one I don't have of
Yeah.
her. I can?
I've got some.
More information, we got a little bit closer to the real story, right, Fern?
Yes.
And in communicating with Jay Selby and Don Ketchum, their minds conceived an idea, their hearts believed in it, and their energy brought it all to fruition. What you're going to experience today and what they have accomplished, in my opinion, in my experience, and many of you know that I've been involved with the veterans community for many years, is unprecedented. I mean, we had a small review among us, and I don't have words to explain, and soon you will understand that. Their tireless efforts and dedication brought Richard back to us.
All right.
Okay? And they're just, the word thank you seems so, just not enough, but for what Fern have done is just remarkable. And it's turned out to be beyond anything that I could have imagined. And I'm sure the Quinn family feels quite the same. So let me introduce you to them, and let's let them tell the story, okay? I give you my buddy. Boy, what a terrible label you're gonna have for the rest of your life.
This is, he stays in Woodstock.
This is Don Ketchum.
That's right. Thank you, Jerry. I don't know if I can overcome that, but I feel I have to say something. This is all off the cuff now. Everything's off the cuff. Now, I started way back ahead of him. I was there that day with Richard and a bunch of other guys out there. This is 45 years in coming before somebody else ran across me. But I'm gonna go a little bit ahead of her. I had another opportunity I didn't like talking about. He can come up here and do his thing. He can talk to George, Susan, and Bernadette, the family, and get up here, and they want to show this. We've shown quite a few pictures of it. You've seen it in the newspaper, but we can't do enough justice to it with what we got behind here. The lady was good.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm not a public speaker at all. I feel like, you know how people give, this any better?
Yeah.
Okay. When you backed up in the corner, you know, I felt more comfortable doing what I did on the 12th than I do public speaking. Okay, here we go. And you have to understand, I'm not a public speaker, so I've had this typed out. My wife and I did this, and then this is, here we go. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll make my remarks brief and to the point. My name's Jay Selby. In Vietnam, I was known as Tex. I'm from Chandler, Texas. Don Ketchum, Robert Angle, well, we called Don Ketch, called Robert Cowboy. That was our names. It was Tex, Cowboy, Ketch. A lot, you know. It just went that way. We never got into names. I'm here to dedicate this quilt to the family as a memorial to Sergeant Richard Quinn, better known as Doc Quinn. And he was a very special person to us. The quilt was created almost 50 years after the event that took place in Vietnam, July the 12th, 1970. After a year of research, consultation, boy, we did have that, and digitizing, embroidery, and hours of quilting by my friend Brenda Taylor, we're here to present this quilt to you. I didn't know Richard the way you did. You knew him as a brother, as an uncle, and as a friend. We knew him as Doc, as a quiet, mild-mannered, dedicated, qualified man. Our experiences with Doc was very simple. He was responsible for our daily malaria pills, our weekly malaria pills,
Horse pills.
and he treated our problems in the field. It didn't matter how minor, severe, scratches, and wounds, he would take care of them. To help you get to know Doc as we did, I'll list his awards that meant what they meant and what you had to do to acquire them. And this is real special. The Combat Medical Badge is issued. The United States Army awards this medal to Army medics supporting infantry and special forces engaged in ground activity. Distinguished Service Cross. This award is given to any member of the United States Army for extreme gallantry and risk of life in combat with the enemy in armed forces. The Bronze Star. This award is given to any member of the United States Army for heroic service in a combat zone. The Purple Heart. This is the oldest award given by the President of the United States. And awarded for those wounded or killed while serving in action against the enemy. Air Medal. This medal is awarded and recognizes single heroic actions for any memorable achievements and participating in sustained aerial flights, which we call combat assaults, in support of the ground forces in the Republic of Vietnam. Good Conduct Medal. We got one and we sure don't know why. This medal is awarded for exemplary behavior, efficiency, and fidelity in the military services. Vietnam Service Medal. This is the United States awards this medal for any service in Vietnam and Cambodia. Vietnam's Civil Action Award. The Vietnam government awards this medal for performance outstanding achievements in the field of civil affairs. Vietnam Campaign Medal. This the South Vietnamese military awards this medal for wartime service and support military operations in Vietnam. And as you can see, you'll see that in a second, the qualifications with a rifle, grenade, and pistols exceed what a medic would need. Doc was highly regarded among the men in our company, and we were very fortunate to have him in our unit. And we would like to ask you, and we would not have would not have asked for a better medic or brother. In closing, all the young men in Vietnam turned into young men. All young boys turned into young men, and the young men turned into heroes. I would like for you to accept this memorial quilt from Company D, 1st of the 8th, 1st Air Cav, in honor of our friend and brother, Doc Quinn. And the newspapers are the newspapers are from our historical society when we put it in there last Memorial Day.
Jay, tell them about getting her to sign it. Okay?
Pardon me?
Tell them about her getting her to sign it.
Okay. Her signature is on the back of the quilt.
Oh, wow.
I had a hard time getting her to put that on there. What I wanted was a war bonnet on there. And she said if I put that on there, I'd have to scalp you. So I decided to keep my hair. Pardon? What?
She was Apache.
Oh.
Full blood.
She's a great seamstress and embroidery.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you, Jay.
get back over in the corner. I feel a lot more comfortable over here.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming out
That was
today.
great.
Thank you, dear.
It's an amazing collection of war veterans over here, and an amazing collection of his friends that all knew him. And this is a little unexpected. It's a beautiful quilt. I'm looking at all the names here. I'm glad to see all the names. But it was a wonderful thing to come together. There's an amazing collection of people that came out here today. Every one of you. And I'm glad my sister made it up too. She wasn't feeling too well, and some other people couldn't quite make it, but this is just an overwhelming feeling seeing everybody here today. And I'm not going to make it too long. I've spoken before about Richard and his life before he went to Vietnam. And he was just a great guy. He's quite a prankster.
We did learn that.
Yeah, I'm sure you found out.
We learned that from along.
So,
Give
again,
us a story, Rick. George, give us a story.
some of them are X-rated.
They're always good.
I'll see you at the bar. I'll tell a few stories. And again, thank you. So I'm going to pass it back. Don, you want to say anything else?
Well, I had it a minute ago, but I kind of departed real quick.
Thank you for being a great family.
Did you want to burn it?
This was dedicated to the Quinn family. All right? But having been involved with Veterans Affairs for so many years, so many different veterans, so many different situations, this quilt went far beyond just as a gift and a dedication to you. This quilt was a gift to some combat veterans that someone, when you're involved with post-traumatic stress disorder and you don't want to talk about things in that, this has been a coming out for Don. This has been probably the best therapy that these guys could have had. So it goes beyond just a memorial and bringing back Richard to us. This has been a healing process for a number of people. And I think, again, I can't say enough about how Fern has really become close to you guys.
I don't even like her.
I love that man. I knew him from the first time. See that, Bob? I didn't say it, he did. Okay? But again, and Don's going to have something else to say. I've been touched by this in so many ways. And thank everybody that did come. The more you look at this, the more amazed you're going to be. And 1 year, it's just beyond belief. All right? So please, again, with the family, take it in the way it was meant, but understand that it healed some other wounds.
And it's in other, this thing is in other parts of the world, but thoughts with guys like Freddie Strasberg. He doesn't know of this, and I don't know if she sent it to him yet, but Freddie is entitled to see this. But my last words are, I'm proud to be here. And I'm honored to meet and talk with as many as I can. You folks are great that you now know a little bit about this man. And like I told somebody else, it isn't just that day. He was there for quite a while with us. Out in the jungle is not easy. There's a lot of, Fern's got some of us in goofball pictures. She asked a couple times, where you come up with that out there, it's pretty serious out there. Which it is, but if you don't let go of the tension once in a while,
you sit there and get all tangled up mentally. We had that out there with some other guys. We had another one we had discussions about. Some people just don't do well with it. But the rest of us come through, the Jays. I made it through, but it took me a long time. Bob, he's through it. There's a bunch of others I know that are through it. Some others still need some thought behind them to talk. Me, I'm blabbing, so here it is, and I thank you all. Okay?
You're more than welcome.
Jay?
Helicopters up there.
Amazing.
First staff.
Huge. Smaller. I know.
I feel I'm more comfortable over here.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming out today.
Thank you.
It's an amazing collection of war veterans over here. An amazing collection of his friends that all knew him. And this is a little unexpected. It's a beautiful quilt. I'm not looking at all the names here. I'm glad to see all the names. But it was a wonderful thing to come together. There's an amazing collection of people that came out here today. Every one of you. And I'm glad my sister made it up too. She wasn't feeling too well, and some other people couldn't quite make it, but this is just an overwhelming feeling seeing everybody here today. And I'm not going to make it too long. I've spoke before about Richard and his life before he went to Vietnam, and he was just a great guy. He's quite a prankster.
We did learn that.
Yeah, I'm sure you found out.
We learned that.
So,
Give us a
again,
story, Rich. George, give us a story.
some of them are X-rated.
Those are always good.
I'll see you at the bar. I'll tell a few stories. And again, thank you. So I'm going to pass it back. Don, you want to say anything else?
Well, I had it a minute ago, but I kind of departed real quick.
Thank you for being a great family.
This was dedicated to the Quinn family. All right? But having been involved with Veterans Affairs for so many years, so many different veterans, so many different situations, this quilt went far beyond just as a gift and a dedication to you. This quilt was a gift to some combat veterans that when you're involved with post-traumatic stress disorder and you don't want to talk about things in that, this has been a coming out for Don. This has been probably the best therapy that these guys could have had. So it goes beyond just a memorial and bringing back Richard to us. This has been a healing process for a number of people. And I think, again, I can't say enough about how Fern has really become close to you guys. I love that man. I knew him from the first time. See that, Bob? I didn't say it, he did. Okay? But again, and Don's going to have something else to say. I've been touched by this in so many ways. And thank everybody that did come. The more you look at this, the more amazed you're going to be. And of 1 year, it's just beyond belief. All right? So please, again, with the family, take it in the way it was meant, but understand that it healed. And they're out now at their base camp. It's going to show you. And you were lighter then, I think.
You think?
Just this much. But it's going to show you a little bit about their living situation over there. You're never going to understand, see, or even picture what their everyday life was about. But this is going to show you something. It's also going to give you a little indication, which is just beyond my belief, how this lady did this, and it's going to show you a little bit of that. So it's going to be 12 minutes, and he's going to get that on the TV, and watch it. It's worth it. All right, and see if you can pick out, not you, pick out which one is Bob, which one is Jay, and which one is Howard here. And so as soon as he gets that hooked up, I'm sure you're gonna. Those of you who want, if you go out and take a look at it, I think you have some CDs in there. So. All right. Again, thanks everybody for coming. Thank God. Please, mind you, eat. We got so much food out there.